Alright, what's going on, everybody? So, I'm back to share with you guys my thoughts on the latest episode of Otherside Picnic entitled Miss Sanuki and Karateka. So, the last few episodes have done a great job of shaking things up so that the show doesn't get too formulaic, with Toriko and Sororo stumbling into and exploring the other side. In the last week's episode, we finally got the introduction to Akari, the girl who does the karate in the opening. I really like her personality, and I'm enjoying the hand-to-hand combat that she brings to the table. Her fight with the Ninja Cats last week was one of the highlights of the episode to me. While the animation and the fight choreography wasn't mind-blowing by any means, it was pretty good for a show that isn't focused on characters fighting each other. Like that's not the main focus of the show. Akari was another standout. She has another standout moment in this week's episode, which I'll touch on later. Last week's episode was more bizarre and unsettling as opposed to frightening and suspenseful like previous episodes were. The whole premise of the Ninja Cats, I mean, even the show was self aware to the fact that was just like it was silly, but it was kind of refreshing. This week's episode brings a bit more of that terror. Can't even speak right now. That terror back while retaining some of the weirdness some of the weirdness and unease from the last episode. In this episode, Akari once again asks for Saruo's help, only this time for the sake of her friend Natsumi. Natsumi has experienced the urban legend of Kano Sanuki, where a monkey appears and warns you that an old lady is coming and leaves you some teeth to give to her. Then when Sanuki comes, you're supposed to bury the teeth in addition to the teeth that she gives you. It's revealed later in the episode that her life and the lives of others close to her is being ruined due to her not following the monkey's instructions. Natsumi explains the recent strange occurrences and accidents that have occurred recently, and they all seem to be a part of a curse. While I like the idea of this urban legend, some of what occurs in this episode feels a bit random, such as when they find a shrine and a dog skeleton buried in the yard. This definitely isn't the most thought out creature or urban legend or whatever that we've seen. Even the robotic pack mule and the space time man, those seem a lot more fleshed out than this sort of concept. There's also the part where Sanuki addresses Akari by her nickname that Sorrow gave her, which doesn't make sense, but to be fair, we might, maybe we'll find out why that happened later on. Otherwise, it's just kind of strange and kind of weird for the sake. It kind of comes off as being weird for the sake of being weird. As for the new character this week, Natsumi, I thought that the character was kind of forgettable, but at least her relationship with Akari served as a good contrast to Toriko and Sororo. So, Akari and Natsumi are much more open about their affection for one another and appear to be on the same page. Whereas on the other hand, with Toriko and Sororo, they seem out of sync constantly, for lack of a better word. To be fair, Akari and Natsumi have been friends a lot longer, and because we can tell. We can tell this from even the flashback with Akari and Satsuki. Still, it's clear from that moment in last week's episode where Sorrow struggled to define her relationship with Toriko that she hasn't completely accepted her feelings toward her. She obviously has grown. She's obviously has grown to view her as someone special to her, as evidenced by her reaction last week when Toriko was ready to make Akari another partner in crime. That scene where that scene showed Sorrow's insecurity or her want to seem special in Toriko's eyes, and we get something similar. We get something similar to that when Natsumi with Natsumi being concerned at first when she mistakens when she mistakens Toriko for Sorrow when they first meet. Once again, I'll praise the writers for not rushing Toriko and Sorrow's relationship so far. In my first impressions video, I mentioned how Sorrow seemed to have a shallow interest in Toriko. In the beginning of this episode, we see Toriko commenting on how long Sorrow's hair has gotten. Toriko likes how Sorrow's hair has grown out, and by the end of the episode, Sorrow decides to grow it out more. Now that Akari has mentioned how similar Sorrow looks to Satsuki, I wonder if Toriko will start to see her as a substitute for Satsuki. Perhaps maybe this will cause a small rift between them if Sorrow feels that Toriko is using her to cope with Satsuki's disappearance. Moreover, Sorrow and Satsuki's similar appearance makes me question what connection they might have. Satsuki has been in the lives of 3 people so far as we know, so it's not too far-fetched, especially given that we know very little of Sorrow's strange backstory. Something is definitely up with Sorrow as we see her make Akari go berserk. We see her make Akari go berserk on Tsunuki by looking at her with her blue eye. This is interesting considering that there was that line within the first 2 episodes where it was like the blue would make you go crazy or something like that. This is the first time we've seen Sorrow use her powers on a person, much to Toriko's disapproval. Akari went full on Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on Miss Tsunuki, beating the crap out of her until there was nothing left but dust, and that moment was really great. Akari's fighting serves as a nice refresher from seeing Toriko and Sorrow just shoot things. I really hope that we continue to see more of this character in the future and that she continues being a recurring character, much like their other friend whose name I can't what's it, Kozakura or something like that. Yeah, I'm kind of blinking on her name. I'm blinking on her name right now, so forgive me. But Akari got that crazy, disturbing look again, and did that whole creepy head tilt thing when Sorrow made her go berserk. This might not be a full-blown horror show, but it certainly nails the elements of horror. Like I said before in my last video, the music and sound effects are excellent and they kick in at the right time to help create a sense of dread. It wouldn't surprise me if the music and as far as like the music and sound design or whatever gets nominated by the end of the year. It wouldn't surprise me. But aside from that, there was that funny moment with Sorrow where she commanded Toriko to stay like she was a dog or something. Overall, I thought that this week's episode was pretty solid overall, but not the strongest of episodes in my opinion. Several mysteries are set up, and the story should start really picking up more during these next few weeks. Anyway, that's all I really got for you this week. Let me know what you guys think about this week's episode. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Fear No Hate. I'm out of here. Peace.